Good morning students, this is Junita Mukherjee from SS Public School, and today welcome back for the new opening of this particular class after the vacation of summer. And just we will start the second lesson because first lesson has already been completed by us, and we will start force and law of motion today. So before starting this particular lesson, I have given you some homework which I want that you should complete in your time before. And if you have any questions regarding that particular question of which we have already been done so far in the previous before summer vacation, in that particular part, if you have any problem, you can ask me any question anytime at any moment. So during the class hours or maybe after the class hours till 8:30 and in the at night, and after that you should write down all the answers in your copy, and because at any time the answers copy will be asked to give it to your school for checking. So we will start today with the second chapter, and all the best for this particular session of 21 to 22. So we will start balanced and unbalanced force first topic. So the topic force and law of motion. Force means law of motion, you know it very well. Motion, we know it very well, that is any object which is in moving, which is moving, that is what we call the motion of a substance. That is when we walk, when we go from one place to another, that is what it is termed as motion. There are different laws of motion. What are the different laws we will discuss right now. And force is something which is given to a particular object to make it move from one place to another. That is what we call the force, which is the two type of force. The two type of forces which are called the unbalanced and balanced force. Balanced force is that particular force in which particular substance cannot move from one place to another part. That is, if we are putting this particular chalk in this particular place and we are putting a force to this particular chalk itself and it is not moving in a particular direction, in any particular direction, this is what we call the balanced force. But when we move this particular chalk piece from one place to another, that is what we call the unbalanced force itself. Okay, so these are the two different things which are called the unbalanced and the balanced force itself, and this is the reason why we are termed it as balanced and unbalanced force. So if we are taking an example of a box, if we are trying to put a chair, okay, we are taking a chair case here, okay. When we are putting in this particular chair in this particular order, and this particular order, if we are taking this particular chair and we try to move it by putting some force in it, it is not moving. This is what we call the balanced force itself. But if we put this particular movement in a chair by some force, that is what we call the unbalanced force itself, which is not balanced in any circumstance. This is what we call the unbalanced force. Okay, so this is the two things which we have to understood here as the unbalanced and not unbalanced and balanced force. So here first is the law of motion. The law of motion are of three types: first, second and third law of motion. And this particular law of motion is deduced by or given by Newton, and before Newton it was given by Galileo. The first law of motion was given by Galileo first, which is also called the law of inertia, and it is also called the law of inertia, in which it states that whenever the object is in motion, it will continue to be in the motion, or whenever the object is in rest, it will continue to be under rest until and unless an external force is acting on it. So this is what we call the first law of motion. In this particular topic, we will take an example of a chalk or a duster. When a particular duster is at rest, it will continue to be in the rest unless and until we will give some force to move from one place to another, or the object is moving, or if the duster is moving, it will continue to be in the moving portion until and unless we give an force to stop this particular duster motion of a duster itself. So this is the first law of motion, and we will have this law given by this we have this law given by Galileo Galilei in the 15th. He was born in 15th February 1564, and he was in Italy. Galileo, right from the childhood, has interest in mathematics and natural philosophy, but his father, Vincenzo Galileo, wanted him to become a medical doctor. Accordingly, Galileo enrolled himself for a medical degree at the University of Pisa in 1581, which he never completed because of his real interest in mathematics. In 1586, he wrote his first scientific book, The Little Balancity, in which he described Archimedes' method of finding the relative density for specific gravities of substances using a balance. In 1589, in his series of essays De Monde, he presented his theory about falling object using of inclined planes to slow down the rate of descent. And in 1592, he was appointed professor of mathematics at the University of Padua in the Republic of Venice. Here he continued his observation of the theory of motion, and through his study of the inclined planes and the pendulum, formatted the correct law for uniformly accelerated object, that he distance the object moves is proportional to the square of the time taken. So Galileo has a remarkable craftsman. He has also worked as a developed a series of telescope whose optical performance has been much better than that of the telescope available during these days. So many of the things have been performed by Galileo in this particular thing, and we have learned so many things about Galileo. He has written a book called Discourse of Floating Bodies and the Letter of Sunspots. He disclosed his observations of sunspots using his telescope, and through his observation on Saturn and Venus, Galileo argued that all the planets must orbit the Sun and not the Earth, contrary to what has believed at that time. So many things have been deduced by Galileo, which has been also deduced by the same phenomenon has been deduced by Newton, and this is why it is called the Newton's law of motion. And thus so many questions arises in our mind that what are the examples related to this particular motion. Okay, so the first example is that we have a small glass. Okay, we have a glass over here, and we have taken a coin and we have taken a card. Okay, so when we are putting this particular glass, and over this particular glass there is a particular what you can say, a card is there, and over this particular card a coin is there. When we flicked this particular card, okay, when we flicked it up with some when we flick this thing like this, what happens? This particular coin drops down inside this particular glass, and this cardboard moves away to the different position. And this is why it is an example of first law of motion. That is, the object will continue to be at the rest until unless an external force is acting on it. Okay, and continue to be in the motion until unless an object acts, any force acts on it. So this is what we have, the first law of motion example. So similarly, we have many more other examples related to the life-long processes. So inertia, and next topic is inertia and mass. So inertia, law of inertia, I have already told you, that is the first law of motion, is also called the law of inertia. First law of motion is also called the law of inertia. Okay, so we know the statement related to this particular this first law. Now inertia and mass. Inertia and mass. So measure of its mass is what we call the inertia of the object. The measure of the mass is the inertia of the object itself, or inertia is simply the mass of an object, which is called the inertia itself. Okay, so we have here given mass. Mass is something which has some weight. Yes or no? Because the without any particular weight of an object, we cannot have that inertia we can working on it. So particular, we can take an example of a chalk. It has some inertia. Why it has an inertia? Because it has a mass. So without any mass, there will be no inertia. So the measure of its mass is what we call the inertia. Now we have mass, inertia and mass all together. The mass of an object is a measure of its inertia. It is already being termed here already. Now which of the following has more mass, a rubber ball or a stone of the same size? So a stone of the same size will have the more inertia. A bicycle and a train. A train will have a more inertia. So the mass is more than in comparison to that of the other object. That is what we termed as inertia itself. So it is a 5 rupee coin or a 1 rupee note. 1 rupee coin. So 5 rupee coin will have the more inertia. In the following example, try to identify the number of the times the velocity of the ball changes. So a football player kicks a football to another player, to his team who kicks the ball towards the goal, and the goalkeeper of the opposite team collects the football and kicks it towards the player of its own team. So also identify the agents applying the force to each case. Explain why some of the leaves may get detached from a tree if we are rigorously shaking the branches. So why it is just because of the first law of the motion, that is just because of the object when it is at rest, it will continue to be in rest unless an external force is acting on it. It is just because of the first law of inertia. Now what do you why do you fall in the forward direction when a moving bus or a train brakes to a stop and falls forward when it accelerated from rest? So this is the reason why the object is already there in the inertia. So the first law of motion is already responsible for this. Now second law of motion. The second law of motion is there, that is what we have, the momentum is defined by mass into velocity. That is second law of motion. Second law of motion. Second law of motion is defined by P is equals to mv, where P is equals to momentum and mv is equals to mass into velocity. Okay, P is equals to mv, not rho, it is P. Okay, this is P equal to mv. Then we have the mathematical formulation for the second law of motion, or you can have this particular statement related to this particular second law of motion is that is the second law of the motion states that the force of the rate of change of momentum of an object is directly proportional to the applied force, unbalanced force, which is and the direction which is there in the direction of the force itself. Or you can say directly that it states that the rate of change of momentum of an object is proportional to the applied unbalanced force in the direction of the force. That is it is directly proportional to the applied unbalanced force and to the direction of the force itself. In applied direction it is moving, and what is the direction of the force in that particular direction it is moving, and it is proportional to that area, that is rate of change of momentum. So we have here that is both the momentum and the direction is there in the scalar product or the vector product. I will just explain what is scalar and what is vector product. You have already studied in the smaller classes also what is scalar and what is vector product. Scalar product is in which we have the magnitude. The magnitude means any kind of category, the size or the kilogram, gram, kilometer or meter, just like this. But when etc. Okay, and vector will have the magnitude as well as the direction. Magnitude as well as the direction. As well as the direction are there in the vector product. That is, it will have the magnitude and it will be in the direction west to east. Okay, so direction will be there from west to east, including this particular kilometer with this particular value. So it will have the magnitude as well as the direction, that is kilometer plus west to east, the direction will be there in this particular substance. So we have in the second law, we have both the magnitude and the direction So vector product. So second law is related to the vector product of the quantities, that is velocity. Okay, and the momentum is both direction and the magnitude. Its direction is same as that of the velocity v, and the SI unit of momentum is kilogram per kilometer per second. And the application of unbalanced force brings change in the velocity of an object. It is therefore clear that a force also produces a change of momentum. So these are the things which are there in the given in your book. And now we will go for the mathematical formulation of the second law of motion, which we will continue after this particular topic. Okay, so second law mathematical formulation we will continue in the next session. Till then, take care and please do study well this particular topics, which is very essential, and all the best. And if you have any comment, please comment in the comment section.